Okay, welcome back to another vid. I thought I'd do a vlog vid for the first time in a long time. In fact, the first time in over a year. And this is, believe it or not, because I couldn't believe it, this is vlog number 29. The 29th vlog I've done. Ridiculous. Now, I've kind of done more in a sense, and I've done them more regularly, again, in a sense, than over a year ago, because I've got a Thursday Drive series, which is very infrequent. But that is basically, if you haven't seen it, or if you have a bit of a refresher, it's some gameplay footage, usually driving, obviously, or racing. Hence the Thursday Drive, and it's usually uploaded on a Thursday. So see where I'm going with that one. And over the top of it, it's me either kind of vlogging or just kind of, reciting anecdotes, stories, things that have happened maybe recently or in the past, talking points. So they're kind of vlogs in a sense. But this is a proper vlog in the sense that the camera's on and I've got a list of topics, just a few mine, not too many, that I'm going to talk about, just to get back into the whole kind of vlog routine, because it's been over a year. Shockingly, I couldn't believe it. The last one I did was about the barbecue at work. So, yeah, that was just over a year ago. I think it was like June, July time. And now we're in kind of, late August. So, yeah, over a year. How time flies. It's absolutely insane. In the background, not that you really care, but there's some FIFA going on. It's the computer versus the computer. Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth. So Bournemouth play today in real life at West Ham. I guess maybe I should have had that as the game. And West Ham won 1-0 with a really late goal. Typically, I knew it was going to happen. I just knew it. Obviously, I want Bournemouth to stay up. This isn't a football vlog, by the way, so, keep your skin on. But yeah, I want Bournemouth to stay up, even though they're not my main team. So the Olympics. The Olympics has just finished. And Great Britain, Team GB, finishing second in front of China, which, if you think about it, is amazing. There's 1.4 billion people in China, and the UK's population, Great Britain's population, is 1/20th, or a 20th of the size of that 1.4 billion population, which is just astonishing. To finish above them in the medal table, it is a great achievement. And already, over the past few days, really, there's some guy in France. I think he was in charge of the cycling kind of federation that they've got over there. And he put on Twitter like a hashtag, like a pound sign and then cycling. Or the pound sign instead of the C and then cycling. And in other words, basically having a dig at Team GB for putting too much money into it. And that's why they're so successful, because they put loads of money into it. Which is what everybody does. So, it's a penalty. Penalty in the background, if you're really curious. Hang on, let's watch this. This could take ages. And let's have a swig while I'm doing it. So, it's a penalty to Palace. So let's skip that. We'll see what happens. Oh, here we go. I like this view, actually, on FIFA. It looks really good. Particularly when the ball goes into that side of the net. Come on, get on with it. I wouldn't be a good commentator. You just have silence for most of the game. Here we go. He's running up. Smashes it in. Goal. 1-0 Crystal Palace. Live goals. Virtual ones at that. So, yeah, here we go. Let's see if it goes in the corner. When it goes in the corner where the camera's looking, it looks really good. It went in the other one and the keeper didn't even dive. Let me just quickly say that is one of the really annoying things I find about FIFA. I know we're going off on a mini tangent. But for penalties, I'd say the goalkeeper dives for maybe... It's almost a 50-50. Sometimes they just stand there. How difficult can it be to program into the game for them to dive all the time? Or at least 99% of the time, or 90% of the time. It seems to be a bit of a... Maybe not quite 50-50, but I'd say maybe 75% of the time they dive... 25% of the time they stand there in the middle. But that's not realistic. Bring it down to like maybe 5% of the time they stand there. But anyway, I'm just angry because Palace have scored in a virtual game against Bournemouth. Shouldn't matter. But yeah, the Olympics, I'm really pleased. But the guy that was complaining about it, the guy in France, like I say, who I think was like head cycling man. Whatever, I don't think that's the official title. But yeah, really complaining about it. But money, you've got to put the money into it. Now, obviously, Team GB benefits because of all the lottery money. But I think that's a good use of it, isn't it? And obviously, the country, the sports within the United Kingdom are benefiting from this. I think that's a really good thing. And to finish second, given the size, is a really good achievement. I've got to stop looking at that bloody screen because it keeps distracting me. So, so that's that. So really pleased. But the funny thing really about the Olympics in general, and it's been a very successful one, as was the last one in London, of course, is that I've not really watched a great deal of it. And I think it's because of the time difference. you know, it's been really hard because I think it's a 5-hour difference between here and Rio. I'm in California. You know, so Pacific time, 5-hour difference. And in many ways, it's what has affected me watching the Euros, the European Championships, and the last couple of World Cups. You know, the last 2 Euros, the last 2 World Cups. I've hardly watched anything because basically when the games have been taking place, I've been at work. So you know, you can't really watch it at work. You know, get into a bit of trouble, I should say. I've had maybe a bit of the radio on with the, you know, my headphones in, so no one can tell, and no one cares if we're listening to music or whatever. So there's that. But it's been really, really frustrating to not be able to watch these big events, World Cups, Olympics, European Championships, etc. Obviously, at the weekend, I've caught a little bit, but generally speaking, it's been very, very difficult. So it's just one of those things when there's a time difference. That's just the way it is. And it got me thinking as well, like, you know, how football, I know I said it's not going to be a football vlog, and it isn't, but I'll just briefly mention this. You know, football isn't massive. It's getting bigger. Excuse me. It's getting bigger in America, but it's not a massive sport. And I think now, one of the reasons why, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons is possibly because of the time difference. You know, when it comes to watching European football, especially in England, the Premier League, all that kind of stuff. You know, you've got to get up at a really stupid hour of the day to watch it. Or, if the games are taking place at night, people over here are probably at work. So it's really difficult to get into the flow of things. Obviously, there's the MLS. And before that, there was the NASL back in like the 70s and the early 80s. Which it started off quite successful, but never really reached the heights of what it should have done. And yeah, that may be one of the reasons that the game isn't pushed because of the time difference between the US and the rest of the world, really, where soccer, football, is big. And maybe there's that detachment. So there's that to bear in mind as well. It's kind of an interesting point, I guess, if you're a football fan and you're always curious as to why football isn't huge in America, because it should be, because it's the biggest sport in the world. But anyway, that's that. Now, I've got my drink handy here. I'm having a swig every I don't know, a couple of minutes, because I've got a really dry throat, as you may be able to tell. If you haven't, you will as the video goes on. But yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about, I was watching a vid by Dave, which is Lawn Boys Post 1975. Dave's been on YouTube for a long, long time, probably a good 5 years maybe. So I've been on for around about 6 years, so a similar kind of time. In fact, I subscribed to Dive. I subscribed to Dive from Birmingham. I subscribed to Dave. Probably, I think I was one of his first subscribers. I think he probably had 10, 15 subscribers, if that. I remember it being really, really small, and I don't think he had 50 or anything like that. I'd say it was within the first sort of 10, 15, 20 subscribers. And, you know, we just came across well. I liked what he had to say, and I've been, you know, watching ever since. Now, I've got to be honest and hold my hands up. I don't comment as much as I used to. Obviously, that's nothing personal. It's just I'm so busy. We all are. And it kind of ties into what Dave is asking, really, in a sense. Kind of, with the point he was making. But yeah, I do watch quite a lot. I just don't comment, but maybe I should comment a lot more. And the same could be said about other people's vids as well. It's funny, though, isn't it, how you get into a routine of watching certain people and commenting, and there's this back and forth kind of going back in the comments, and maybe they're watching your vids. And all it takes sometimes is for one person to sort of stop or to become a little bit slack in commenting, and then you start being slack commenting on theirs, and before you know it, you lose communication. It's just kind of sad in a way, but, you know, I'm still subscribed, obviously, to Dave. I still watch his stuff. I just don't comment as much as I used to, but that's by the by. So Dave asked a question, and the question was, and I quote, "Is the gaming community too crowded for new channels to make it?" Now, by make it, I presume that means make a little bit of a dent into the community. So, say, like at 1,000 subscribers, 2, 3, 4, 5 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, I should say, rather than, you know, millions, because it's a very, very small percentage of channels out there which are going to make millions of subscribers. It's just not really going to happen. It can, of course. There's a possibility of it happening, but there's a number of things, like a checklist, you've got to tick before you get there. That's going to be very, very difficult. And apologies as well in the background. The screen is dimmed, I think. After a while of inactivity, that's the way it is. So really putting that FIFA footage on is pretty pointless, but there you go. Lesson learned. Yeah, so is the gaming community too crowded for new channels to make it? No, it isn't. It isn't too crowded to make it to be a relative success, but it is crowded. Is it too crowded? I'm not sure. Possibly, but what usually happens with a lot of channels is they'll have a go at making videos, and then after a while, once they realise that maybe it's not for them, or they're not getting where they want to get, they'll knock their channel on the head, and they'll go away, and they'll either start again, or they'll just leave it, which is a shame, because I think people can make their channel a success. If you're watching this and you don't have a channel, or maybe you've just started one, or maybe you've got a small subscriber base, any of those kind of three things that I've just mentioned, then you can be a success. You can make it. What that make it is, I guess, is up to you. Is it to get 500 subscribers? Is it to get 1,000, 5,000, 1 million, more? Do you want to become a household name? Do you want to become famous? Because that's never really going to happen. It could happen, but it's not really going to happen. You've got to be realistic there. Now, I've had my channel for, like I say, around about 6 years. I've been making videos since like 2010. And in fact, I think I created my channel about 2007 or something like that. But the reason why I didn't upload any videos is because I never really had an intention to. I just wanted to make... well, I didn't want to, actually. What kept happening is I kept coming onto YouTube to watch my favourite music vids or documentaries or whatever. It was nothing to do with gaming at all. And every time I'd put on YouTube, this bloody annoying pop-up window would appear saying, why don't you create a channel? And that way, you know, you can put all your favourite channels, subscribe to things. And after a while, it took a few months, it was really wearing thin as well. After a few months, I thought, just to get rid of this stupid pop-up menu, I'd have to make like 6 clicks to get rid of it. I thought, I'm just going to create a channel. So I created a channel, which is the Bluetonic 78 thing. And I just did it just to stop that menu appearing, the pop-up window. And then 3 years later, I thought, I'll actually start making vids. But it was never my intention when I created my channel to make vids. It's just the way it kind of worked. So, but yeah, I've been making videos 6 years, and I've got, I think, just under 1,500. I think it might be like 1,300, maybe 1,400 subs. I can't quite remember. Now, it's a lot. For me, I think, well, that's a heck of a lot, Bournemouth equalised. Well, at least they may be winning. I don't even know, because I haven't been paying attention. But they've just scored there. So, yeah, I've been making videos for 6 years. I've got around about 13, 14, 1,500 subscribers. I mean, how many of those are active? You've got to remember that as well. Many channels aren't active anymore. You know, they'll subscribe and then they just go off and whatever. And that's fine. And every now and again, YouTube will have a purge and you'll see your sub count kind of dramatically kind of go. I know quite recently a lot of people complained about it. You know, how their subs had changed overnight. But I think it's a good thing. It's just a number. It doesn't mean anything, really. It's kind of a badge of honour in that sense, because they're not all active. All the users aren't active. Someone may subscribe for one set of videos. Again, I'm kind of going to touch upon that in a second. And they may not watch all the other things you do. So it's not really a true reflection of your channel in the here and now. Not really. And of course, many people do that whole kind of classic sub for sub thing, which is kind of pointless. Again, for many reasons. So it is a crowded community, but you can make it. But I think there's a few things you've kind of got to do to enhance your chances of being a success, or what you could consider a success, because it's all different. You know, we've all got a different level of expectation, I guess. And I think one of them is interaction. Interaction is crucial. I think if you're just going to make videos, I mean, you can get away with this, but I'm just saying, if you want to maximise your chances of being somewhat of a success within the community, whatever that success is to you, then you've got to interact. You've got to watch other people's videos. You've got to comment. You've got to show that you're watching their stuff. I know it shouldn't be that way, but it is a case of really you scratch my back, I scratch yours. That does exist out there, at least initially. You know, if you want to get to know someone, it's a good way to get to know people as well. You know, and, you know, don't be put off. If you leave like a few comments on someone's vid and then they never watch yours, don't be put off, because even quite recently, you know, I can't remember who it was, but there was someone who had been leaving comments on my channel, my videos, for the best part of a year. And then one day it just kind of clicked when I was replying. And I thought, you know what? I recognise this person. He's always commenting. Let me click on his channel. And I did. And he had some good content. And I subscribed. And I was kind of really surprised that I hadn't subscribed or even checked his channel out sooner. But I just hadn't. And it's that whole thing of, you know, being interactive. Interacting with other channels. You know, click on their channel. See what you think. And if they do things you like, then great. You know, subscribe. And I think also similarly, and don't be offended whatever you do. I know it's easy to be offended, but don't be offended if somebody doesn't subscribe to your channel, if you're subscribed to them. There could be a number of factors. You know, maybe you I mean, you may think, well, they should do, because I do gaming videos as well. Yeah, but maybe you do like things for like the BBC, you know, Archimedes or the Acorn, real primitive stuff. Or maybe maybe you do a lot of repair work on things like jammer boards, which is kind of really clever and technical, and it's impressive, but I haven't got a bloody clue. And I've got to be honest, I'm not interested. I'm kind of curious in a sense, and it's fascinating, but I don't want to subscribe to it because I don't understand all that. I'm not going to start doing it. So what's the point? And I think really, if you think about it, if you make those kind of videos, then why do you want people subscribing just for the sake of it? It's just a tokenistic throwaway subscription. It doesn't mean to say that you're not a nice person. It doesn't mean to say that I or someone else doesn't like you, you know, or it doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that maybe the videos you do don't cater to what the other person cares for. So you've got to bear that in mind. So interaction is a very crucial part of YouTube, of making a success. There's no guarantees, of course, but it is. I think also another big thing is regularity in terms of videos. You know, if you make regular vids, and particularly if you make vids which people know, your subscribers know are going to come out on certain days, I think that can help you. You've just got to be regular with it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I called it the Thursday Drive. My thinking behind that is my subscribers would know that on a Thursday, it's not proved that way, of course, because I'm lazy with the uploads, but my subscribers in theory would know that on a Thursday, I'll upload the Thursday Drive, and so they may be, this is kind of wishful, unlikely thinking, but maybe you as a subscriber, if you are a subscriber, if you're not, why are you watching it and not subscribe? That's weird. But if you are a subscriber, then my thinking is maybe you'll be a bit bored one day on a Thursday on your computer, thinking, oh, I don't know what to do, and then you'll be like, Thursday Drive, Alex has got a Thursday Drive out. That's probably very unlikely. There's maybe nobody who thinks that way. But that was part of my thinking. The other was just, I like the idea of it being quite sort of regimented as well. It just sounded quite good at the time. So yeah, maybe I should have called it like the Friday Drive at the end of the week. I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Thinking about it. So yeah, regularity of videos I think is a good thing. But whatever you do, this is one of my tips, and you can take advantage of this or not. But what I wouldn't do is, if you're a very new channel, upload loads and loads and loads of videos, because if you haven't got the subscriber base, you're going to have dozens, maybe hundreds potentially, of videos that people aren't watching. So pace it out, but at the same time, be quite regular. You've got to find the balance. You know, if you're uploading daily and you've got 100 subs, that's going to be very, very difficult. Now, of course, people can always go back in time and watch videos. You don't have to watch it, you know, live or as good to live as possible. What difference does it make? Because once we put a video out, we can watch it at any stage. But despite that, I've got to be honest, I know it sounds weird, and maybe you're a bit similar to me like this, but I like watching the new stuff because it is so new, it is so recent, it seems so live, as it were. You know, so if you're watching this the same day it went up or within a few days, it feels new, because it is. Whereas going back and watching something old, even though it's still me talking and on video and doing the video, it doesn't quite seem relevant. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just a bit weird that way. But I can go back and watch old vids of other people, and I frequently do. I do it quite regularly. Just the other day, I was watching some old vids by Dave, Lawn Boys Post 1975, because I've not watched for all his stuff for quite a while, so I played a bit of catch-up to that, and it was still Dave. He hasn't changed. He's the same person, so I enjoy them just as much now as I did then, or I can enjoy them now as much as I would have done back then if I didn't watch them. Oh, you know what I mean? So that's that. Now, that question that Dave posed, which I think I've kind of answered there, it did lead me on to a new question, which I've got in the corner here. And that question I want to ask you, and you don't have to do a video response. If you want to, fantastic, but that's not the purpose of me asking. But if you want to, that'd be fantastic. But do you think channels with variation can be successful? Now, I ask this because something prompted me into, a couple of things actually prompted me to asking this question. One, of course, is the question Dave asked. Swig of water, the healthy option. And yeah, so two things happened, both football related. God, it's always about football. Do you talk about anything else? Yes, I do. So I uploaded a football vid the other day. It was a Manchester City vlog, something I started doing about 3 and a bit years ago. I've been very, just like my other vids, very infrequent with them, but hopefully I can get into some kind of regularity with that. Anyway, that's irrelevant. But I noticed within maybe an hour or two of the video going live, there was 3 dislikes straight away. And I was like, what the bloody hell? What an awful, what a dreadful start. That is just like your worst nightmare. What is going on? Now, it doesn't matter in the scheme of things. I found it quite funny. And there was a couple of comments, early doors, to use a footballing cliche, a couple of comments on those on that video that I did from fans of Everton. And I'd said something in the video about, I didn't call Everton a small club, but I said they were not as big as City. And I stand by that, you know, in the here and now anyway. I'm not talking about what happened in the 80s when Everton were a really, really big team winning a lot of stuff. I'm talking about the here and now. If you want to attract players, they've got to go to City over Everton. It's just the way it is right now at this moment in time. And a couple of comment leavers, who I think are both subscribers, they seem to take exception. I mean, it was banter, I wasn't angry or anything, but I could tell they were a little bit annoyed by the comments that I'd made. And, or at least that was the way I perceived it through the tone of text. And sometimes it's difficult, isn't it? It's sometimes difficult to judge how someone's coming across via text. If you hear them vocally, then that's more obvious. And I thought, hang on a minute, I thought 3 thumbs down, 2 Everton fans straight away don't like it, so have they thumbed it down? Now, if they have, I don't care, it doesn't bother me. You know, you've got to have thick skin. That's another thing about YouTube as well. You know, if you're a new channel, you've got to have thick skin because you're going to get those dislikes. It's unfortunate that people feel the need to do that. Because it really, in a sense, it's sort of like cyberbullying, isn't it? Which is just disgraceful, it really is. But that's a topic for another day. But you've got to get used to that. But the thing is, I think with my videos, with football vids, I think a lot of people aren't expecting football vids on like a gaming channel. Again, that's something I'm going to touch upon in a second, or kind of, you know, lead into this. So, but that made me laugh. There's like 3 dislikes straight away. And then I think after a day or so, I think there was 10 or 11 likes. And as it stands, it's probably changed because people have probably gone back and added a few more to it, you know, unfortunately. But it's 11-3. So when you look at it like that, you know, as long as the majority are outnumbering the minority, it doesn't really matter, does it? But football is so tribal. It's so tribal that you're going to get that. You know, if you slag off someone's team or you say something that they don't like, then you're susceptible to that dislike button. It's just going to happen. It's just the way it is. It's quite funny, really. We're all kind of still very tribal about our teams. And I get it myself, even at my age. You know, to begin with, it's a bit of banter. You know, someone would be like, oh, City are rubbish, you know, you haven't, what have you achieved up until the money came in and all that kind of stuff. And you go along with it and you're like, oh, yeah, good one, you know, touche, all that kind of stuff. And then they go on a little bit about it and they press you and they press you and they press you. And I can feel myself starting to get annoyed. I'm like, yeah, well, what have you won? What have you won in the last 20 years? And then he starts to get this like argument. Not a literal argument, but it's that kind of ferocity, isn't it, that football fans have. Tribal, like I say. It really is something else. It's very quite bizarre. So, yeah, I noticed that. But yeah, the bigger question, do you think channels with variation can be successful? Because I'm not sure they can. Let me tell you what I'm trying to say here if it wasn't already obvious. So my channel, right? My channel, I don't know how you view my channel. I don't view it as a gaming channel. I view it as a channel which has gaming on, which has football on, which has music, vinyl pickups. One will be due soon. I've not done one for a long time, which is just very silly and lazy of me. But yeah, before the vinyl, which started maybe 2.5 years ago, there was CD pickups, which lasted about a year or so. Again, very irregular. But that was something which I'd done. There's the diary vids. There's another one of those, which will be due before the month is out. And other vlogs, the Thursday Drive, which is gaming in the background, as I touched upon earlier. But it's just me talking about, you know, reciting anecdotes and stories and vlogs and all that kind of stuff. So I do a lot other than gaming, even though predominantly it is still really, I'd say, a gaming channel, or has been anyway, up until relatively recently. And that was part of the reason why my channel, well, the main reason why my channel started in terms of uploading videos, it was to make vids. Sorry, to make gaming vids. So, but yeah, it's just evolved over time, as you'd probably expect after making videos for over 6 years. It's just that kind of thing. But I genuinely think, and this is the ultimate point I'm trying to make here, and you may agree, you may disagree, I personally genuinely think it stops people subscribing to my channel if they like a particular topic, genre other than gaming. For example, let's say I upload a vinyl vid, which I'm due to do in the next week or two, right? So I'm going to upload that vinyl vid. Now, the majority of people who are going to watch that vid straight away are people who are subscribed to me. The majority of people who are subscribed to me are for the gaming. Now, if somebody, a week, a month, whenever from now, a year from now, or even further down the line from that, if somebody is just doing a random search on YouTube for vinyl records or a particular band that I may have put in the keywords, maybe I put a link to one of their songs as a result of picking up their album, if somebody who's not a subscriber discovers my channel, discovers my video, I should say, and let's just say they watch that video, and then let's not get a little bit arrogant or anything. Let's just go along with this for the purpose of the example. Let's just say they quite like the video. They think, that was quite good. I like what he had to say. I agree with it. I like his pickups. I like the bands that he's bought there, the albums that he's bought. I like the video, so I might leave a comment. I might not. I'll check out his other videos. So they'll click on my channel, and they're probably expecting to see, bearing in mind they're big music fans, they're probably expecting to see loads of music feeds, but they're not going to see that many in the scheme of things, because they're going to see their face is going to be dominated, their screen is going to be dominated by gaming videos, by football videos, by the diary stuff, by whatever else it is that I do, and I think that's going to put people off. And similarly, if they're into football and they click on my channel after watching and maybe liking a video, they may be hesitant to subscribe because they see all this other stuff in their face. Whereas if I was just an exclusive music channel or an exclusive gaming channel, exclusive whatever it may be, football channel, I think I or you or anybody else is much more likely to be successful. Again, it kind of ties into what Dave was asking before. Is much more likely to be successful. And I've thought about it, I'm not going to lie, I've thought about it again quite recently, but I didn't do anything about it. But that is of maybe creating a secondary channel and putting my football stuff on there, or putting my music stuff on there. And I can never say, I can't promise I won't do that in the future, because I might. But I've thought about it now for about 3 years and I've not done anything about it. So that's probably, you know, a sign, an indication that I'm not really going to do it. Because it's so time consuming, you know, thinking of a new channel name, you know, creating new email addresses and passwords, and then uploading videos to one channel and another set to another. It's a bit of a hassle, and I'm not sure I can be bothered with it, quite frankly. But I do genuinely think that it does put a lot of people off of subscribing to my channel. I'll talk about me because obviously, well, it's my channel. But to anyone's channel for that matter, I do think it's a hindrance. And it'll be interesting to see what people think. You know, maybe you've got a varied channel, and maybe you agree or disagree. Maybe you're getting people from all genres, you know, watching your stuff. Or maybe they subscribe to your channel just for specifically one set of vids. You know, maybe there's some people out there who genuinely did. Maybe I don't know, but maybe there's people who only subscribe, or for 99% of the time, for my gaming stuff. And you don't watch the other stuff. I get that, that's fine. Not everybody likes football, I totally understand. There's some of my best friends on YouTube. I won't name them, I won't embarrass them. You'll know who you are. But sometimes they'll make a particular vid, and it could be a genre which I know nothing about. Nothing. And I'm not interested in it. It's nothing personal. You know, I like them, they're great, I love them. Not in that sense. You know, as people, they know that. But I'm not going to watch their vids about certain topics because I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, I may once in a blue moon have it on if I'm bored. I say that respectfully. Or it's kind of a compliment, I guess. Or if maybe I'm doing some emails or something, I want some background audio, I may do that. But generally, I'm not really going to watch something I don't know a lot about. But yeah, I genuinely find that quite an interesting topic. So, do you think channels with variation can be successful? I think that's a good question to ask, or maybe it isn't. But if you want to do a response, please feel free. You can put it in a vlog response, or a standalone response, so you can just mention it, or just leave a comment if you want. I'm genuinely interested because it's something which I've regularly thought about in the past, and I think I always will. That temptation will always be there to start a new channel, because I do wonder if it holds me back the screen. Oh, I thought it completely went off there. It's still really dark, you can't see what's going on. The floodlights have gone out. Ridiculous. So, yeah, there's that subject done with. So the next one I've got is, oh, now this is, I'm not going to talk about this for too long. In fact, the next there's 3 more topics I want to talk about. Oh, God, this is going on for ages. Apologies if you don't like long vids. I didn't mean it to be this long. But put a camera on and I'll just talk for, not just for England or the UK, I'll talk for America, I'll talk for the world. So the next topic, I'm going to briefly talk about this, is books. I have, believe it or not, started to get into reading again for a long time. I'm not going to talk too much in depth because one of them I've not read at all, the other I've just kind of skipped through, and it's more of a picture book than anything else. And it took me by surprise, but I'll explain more in a second. So yeah, I used to be massively into reading. I mean, when I was a kid, really, I might sort of, up into my mid-teens, kind of, you know, school years, I guess, maybe late teens. And I used to buy a lot of books. I used to read a lot. And then I guess you get to that age where you start going out a bit more, gaming, you know, becomes more prevalent. You're busy, you're working, you're spending your money on all sorts of other stuff. And I just completely fell out of the loop, much like I did out of the next topic, which I'm going to talk about, well, after this one. And, yeah, but I've really started to get back into it recently. Now, one of the things I've got into over recent years, in quite a heavy way, and you may have noticed this if you follow me on Twitter, because occasionally I'll kind of post something about it, which I'm sure people aren't interested in. And you may have noticed it on my like videos. Can you still see what videos people have liked on YouTube these days? Or did they remove that? I'm not sure. But I've got into politics in a big, big way. Now, I've always been into politics. There's nothing new. I've always been into it. Just never really talked about it. But more and more over the past, like, few years, I've got into it. It's becoming a real hobby and an interest of mine. I know it sounds sad. It sounds ridiculous. But yeah, one of the guys that I really like is very, very left-wing. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just telling you he's very, very left-wing. Now, I'm not very, very left-wing. Of course, there's many elements of my political kind of ideology where I am left-wing. But I'm very centre, I think. I'm right on some issues, and I'm left on others. But I'm very kind of, I think, straight down the middle, which I think is the average kind of person. But this particular political journalist, if you like, is called Owen Jones. Can you even see that because of the light? It's called The Establishment and How They Get Away With It. And his first book, author of Chavs. Now, I know it sounds really judgmental, but when I saw that he'd made a book called Chavs, I thought, oh, I'm not sure I want to read that. Oh, I'm not sure I want to buy anything by this guy. Terribly judgmental. But I've not even read it. But yeah, this is apparently the successor, the sequel to that book. So yeah, Owen Jones is a very liberal, very left-wing political journalist. He's got his own channel, actually, on YouTube. Just type in Owen Jones and you'll find it. He's a really interesting guy. I like him. He's not too much younger than me, so he's a young guy into politics, but political journalism, as I say. I don't agree with everything he says, of course, but I do agree with quite a lot. But I like the way he comes across. He's quite funny. He's quite articulate. He's very clever. I like him. I think he's a good guy. So I think as a way of getting back into reading and into politics, I thought it'd be a nice kind of easy way back into it. So yeah, got the hardback version. And yeah, really looking forward to getting into it. Now, there's a lot of rave reviews, as you'd expect, on the back. There's never a bad review on the back of a book. Why is that? Obviously. So yeah, and it's just funny just reading all the people who are very left-wing who have left all the comments. Russell Brand, our generation's Orwell. I mean, come on. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he is. Maybe he will be. I don't know. But that's a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a high praise, really. And Irvine Welsh on the back. All these other people as well, giving him some very high praise. So I like Owen Jones. I'm sure that he's delighted. He's got my seal of approval. So yeah, check him out. Check his YouTube channel out. Just like I say, put in Owen Jones. And I think you'll be really surprised. If you're young, especially, or just feel so detached with politics, I think people like that will really help you get into it. You'll see what I mean if you type it in. Now, the next book I've got, I'm trying to skip through this. This is going to last another 10 minutes, this vid, I know it. Again, apologies, and I'll probably apologise at the end for the length of the vid. But the next book, I've got, is one which came out last year, and I put it in my Amazon basket before it came out. It was one of those kind of like pre-order things. I wasn't going to pre-order it, but I put it in my basket to remind me in the future to buy it. And I've got it, and it's really small. I was really shocked. It's basically a coffee table-sized book, but I don't know why. I was expecting it to be like a big A4 hardback book, and when it arrived in the mail the other day, my wife got in from work, and she she came in, opened the door and all the rest of it, closed the door behind her, if we're going to be factual, and then said, right, here's some mail, I've just got it from the mailbox. And I was like, well, what's this? I didn't have a clue, because I hadn't ordered anything recently other than the book, but it was so tiny, and I remember saying to her as I was opening it, I was like, this can't be that book I've ordered. And she's like, what book? I was like, a cricket book. So, and she's like, oh, bloody hell, cricket, you know what I mean? Ridiculous. Americans don't understand cricket. In fact, a lot of Brits don't even understand cricket, to be perfectly honest, but I love it. Anyway, so that book is called Snow Stopped Play. And look at the size of it. It's just really, really tiny. So I like it. It's basically, for all intents and purposes, it's a picture book, if you like, of cricket grounds and surroundings with snow, with the winter time, with some blurb on the other page. I find it genuinely really interesting, and I love it. It's got that artistic view. It's kind of old and modern, lots of old and new pictures in there. And yeah, it's just, I absolutely love it. I can appreciate the art, I love cricket as well, which really helps. There's some interesting kind of political stories there. There's one about the apartheid from South Africa. It looks like some barbed wire fencing was going up there at Lord's Cricket Ground, which is a little bit extreme, but maybe to protect the players or protect some of the fans, I don't know. So, yeah, just really interesting, fascinating pictures. So what I may do, for those of you who are interested with this particular book in general, I think, let's say in December, if I remember, in December at Christmas time, because it will tie in with the whole winter thing, I think I'm going to do a video of this, and I'll maybe have the camera pointing down, and I'll skip through some of the pages, and you can see what it looks like, because it's a really nice book, and of course you want to see the spine, with the turquoise action going on there. So yeah, I'm really getting back into the whole reading thing. Like I said, that's more of a picture book than anything else, but it does have some, you know, writing as well for me to take in and absorb. So, and I love cricket as well. It's one of my many poisons. And yeah, politics and cricket. I bet you weren't expecting that. So just getting back into books in general. Now, I was going to talk about another subject, but I'm going to go on for ages on that one. So I'm going to save that actually for my next vlog. But that'll be quite an interesting one. It's another topic, another subject, another thing that I've got back into of late, and I've surprised myself with getting back into it. It's something which a lot of people in the gaming community are kind of into. In fact, a lot of people just in life are into, but it's something I completely fell out of touch with. The passion for it just went, and now I've got back into it, which has really surprised me. But I'll talk about that in my next vlog vid, which will be soon, he says, having made his first vlog vid, you know, a year and a bit after the other one. So the last thing I want to very briefly talk about are 3 games that I've been playing recently. One of them is the Titanfall 2 beta on the PlayStation 4. It's also out on the Xbox One. Now I'm going to do a gameplay video for that, so that'll probably go up after this. It could be the same day or the next day or whenever. So if you want to check that out and see what I think about it, then please feel free by all means. The other thing I've been playing is No Man's Sky, again on the PlayStation 4. Also, this other game that I've got here is a PlayStation 4. It's like a PS4 fest that I'm on. Yeah, No Man's Sky is basically a game based in space. It's an exploration game. It's extremely slow-paced. I dare say it is a little bit boring, and but at the same time, it's very immersive. And it's got that, for me anyway, it's got that kind of thing where you're basically mining for minerals and all that kind of stuff, and repairing your spaceship, and doing a lot of trading, buying and selling with aliens and all that kind of stuff, and going from planet to planet. It is a very in-depth game. It's a very insular, lonely kind of game, because you're not going to stumble upon other human beings unless they update patches and all that kind of stuff. I think technically the chances are, theoretically, you can stumble upon other online players in your universe, because there's like millions upon millions upon millions of planets, like literally, I think. So the chances of you being online on the same server, on the same planet, are really, really thin and slim, to say the least. But yeah, the funny thing about this game though is in my life so far, on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, but on the PS4, have bought 2 full-price $60 games. You see where this is going here. The first one was a mistake, I'll hold my hands up. It was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, $60 for a digital download, Jesus. Yeah, I really wasted my money there without question, because I just don't like it. I thought that the single-player campaign was okay, in my opinion. I thought it was okay, just okay. But the multiplayer, just absolutely terrible. I hated it. I really, really didn't like it whatsoever. So I've hardly played it. It has been a waste of money, I'll be honest. But in the scheme of things, $60, whatever. You know, but I've done it again. No Man's Sky, $60. The reason why I bought the digital download is a little bit impatient of me, is because the limited edition box set with a nice kind of sort of hardback book spine that it comes with on the PS4. It's a PS4 exclusive. On the consoles anyway, because it's on the PC. But it's not on the Xbox One. Yeah, so I wanted the limited edition set, but it had sold out. And I thought, well, I don't just want to get the standard edition. I do want that limited edition, but I really wanted to play the game. So I thought, I'm just going to download it digitally. Yes, I'm paying $50, $60. And then in the future, if I really want it for aesthetic purposes to put on a shelf, I'll get the limited edition set, which will probably be around about $30, $40, $50 in the future. Whenever, I don't mind doing that. So, but yeah, I've paid $60 now for 2 full-price games. $120, bit of maths there for you. Get everything on this channel. Yeah, $120 for 2 games, and is it worth $60, No Man's Sky? I'm struggling to justify it right now, because it is so boring, which sounds as if it's a real criticism. It isn't, believe it or not. It's just the way the game is. I knew it would be like that. It's not taking me by surprise. I knew it would be really, really slow-paced, but I'm just... Wow, $60. I don't know. I think they really need, the developers, they really need to add some DLC. I think they've said all DLC is going to be free as well, which is nice. A nice little touch, which I think they've said that for Titanfall 2 as well. But I'll touch upon that in my Titanfall 2 vid, if you want to watch it. So, yeah, they need to add a few things, I think, to make it a little bit more, well, less boring, quite frankly. More things to do, maybe more enemies to interact with. There are some enemies on there, they're kind of flying around, robotic things. There's no human enemies or aliens as the traditional alien sense that we know with the big almond eyes and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing really like that. You can take your time and photograph new species and animals and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. That's kind of interesting. All the planets tend to be a little bit different, so again, that's kind of nice. Different colours. There's some acidic rain terrains on there, or weather conditions, I should say. Different kind of terrains, different colours. So it's nice, but you know, ultimately, they are kind of the same. They're just a little bit different, but it's the same kind of thing. So I'd like to see a lot of variety added to No Man's Sky via DLC. And if they do that, even things like customization for your pilots, who you never really see because of the third person or first person view, but maybe customize your ship or customize other things, maybe make alternative camera angle views. You're just things I think they need to add to the game to make it become less of a chore, I think. But it is still good, and despite it being a bit of a chore, it does have one of those elements to the game where you're mining away at the minerals, at say gold for example, and you think, oh, I'll knock it off now, and then you're like, I'll just get a little bit more gold, I'll just get a little bit more whatever it is. And so it does have that, so that's a positive sign. But yeah, I'd just be very cautious if you're thinking about buying No Man's Sky. My advice is it's a very good game, it's a very ambitious game, but it's quite bare bones right now. And unless you like that kind of very isolated, which kind of ties into the next game I've got actually, fun enough, but isolated environment of space and exploration, unless you really like that and you're really into that, you may want to wait. You may want to wait for a price drop. That's my advice. Now, it leads me on, that isolated thing, to a game I've been playing recently. It's not my game. It's Alien Isolation. I've just started it, so I've really not got a lot to say about it. I hate all these bloody GameStop stickers on there, if you can see. $16.97 is how much a mate of mine paid for this, or $16.19. That's if you remember, but if you're not, $17.99. I mean, come on, it's not that much of a difference, is it? Just out of principle, I think I wouldn't sign up to be a GameStop member. Is it GameStop? Is that what you call them? I think it is. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, so Alien Isolation, a friend of mine basically lent me this. I lent him Uncharted 4, he's lent me this, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing it. I did have it absolutely ages ago on the Xbox One. Do you know what? Embarrassingly, I wonder if I've still got it. I don't have my games out on display, they're kind of in these like drawer things behind me. I'd laugh if I've still got Alien Isolation on the Xbox One. If I have, it's sealed, which is, oh god, ridiculous story in itself. So yeah, but I'm really looking forward to playing this, to getting into it. I've started it, played 15-20 minutes. I can tell it's that very kind of tense atmosphere, environment, and yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it because I'm a big fan of the movies. Although Alien 3, I didn't think it was all that, but I've only ever seen it once, and that was back in like '92 when it came out, and I found it a bit boring in comparison to previous Alien movies. But anyway, that kind of chat is for another day. So I'm going to wrap it up now because I've gone on for absolutely ages. Again, I'm going to apologise if you don't like these long vids. I always intend for my videos, these kind of vids, to be like 10-15 minutes, but for some reason they just always go on. If you like long vids, fantastic. If you don't, there's not a lot I can do about it. What I'm going to do, I know it doesn't matter now, but what I'm going to do, I think, for this video and for future vids, I think I did it in previous ones as well, actually, is I'm going to put like a timestamp. So if you want to skip to certain points in the video, you can. And I'll put maybe an annotation at the start of the vid, and that may prevent people from getting a little bit annoyed who don't like the long vids. Anyway, until my next vid, which is probably going to be the Titanfall 2 beta video. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.